Okay, my trip down memory lane today involves this letter I found in my box of mementos that I wrote to Steve back in April 4th, 1973, when I was 20 years old. Let me tell you a little bit about Steve, and then I'll give you the letter. Steve was a friend of mine that we had family friends named Matt and Jean that my mom and dad had gone to college, and those were their college friends, and they ended up having 4 kids. Steve was one. He was the oldest. He was a big influence on me. He was only a year older than me, but his dad was a photographer, so he became a photographer, and he was a big fan of Ansel Adams. And once I heard about Ansel Adams through Steve, I ended up becoming a big fan myself, and Ansel Adams is now my mentor, my icon that I look to when I'm composing a lot of my shots. So he gave me that. He also gave me an interest of history, because his dad was a history buff as well. And his dad was a ranger in Rocky Mountain National Park in the summertime. And we went up there initially not to Rocky Mountain. He was at first at Kings Canyon Park in the Sierras. And my mom took me up there. I have some home movies I'll show you later. When I was like 5 years old. Anyway, we went up in the stream, we played in the woods, and his dad, Matt, the ranger, he did the campfire program at Kings Canyon there. And on Saturday night, a bunch of people gathered around for the campfire program, and he called out to me sitting on the logs that made up the seats for the audience, and asked if I wanted to light the fire. It was a big old log cabin style fire that he had built to give a good blaze for the entire presentation. I was surprised. My mom had said I couldn't play with fire, but here was this friend of the family saying, "Come light the fire," and she said I could. So, very nervous and afraid I would maybe do it wrong, I went up and he lit the match for me, and I took the match carefully and put it to the fire, and it started the whole blaze. It was one of the highlights of my little 5-year-old life. So Steve and I hung around way back when, because they were friends well before I was born, the Millers, Matt and Jean, and us. Anyway, so here I am at 20 years old talking to Steve. We had gone on a number of things with his family, like to Leo Carrillo Beach. They went camping, a bunch of sandstone caves, really cool. Loved it so much that when I had kids, I took them there, and now my kids take their kids there, and I go camping with them. So I'm there with my kids and my grandkids, camping at the same beach I camped with Steve and his parents, the Millers. Anyway, so I wrote him this note that I guess I either didn't send, or I don't know, maybe I made 2 copies. I don't know. Anyway, it says, "Hi, Steve. You remember me? I finally got the Beatles' White Album and George Harrison's All Things Must Pass. Unfortunately, my record player's on the blink. Must have something in its eye. I would like to, still like to know if you wanted to hike the John Muir Trail with me this summer. I suppose it would take about 2 weeks." Now, hiking the trail was something else we talked about. That was something that I didn't even know about, the John Muir Trail, until I learned it from Steve. He's also the first one who ever played Simon & Garfunkel's Bridge Over Troubled Waters album for me. And Steve will come up from time to time. I'll fill in these stories a bit, but I just don't want the main details lost that meant so much to me and mean nothing to you, or anyone else for that matter. So, you still with me here? Why? Anyway, so I wanted to go hike the John Muir Trail. Now, I never did hike that trail with Steve. I never did hike the trail with anyone until in the year 2000, Teresa and I decided we would do some section hikes in the backcountry of Yosemite along the John Muir Trail. And I've done maybe 4 or 5 section hikes now. The last one was in 2019. I was 66. I carried a 50-pound pack, which was the heaviest pack I'd ever carried. Not advised at 66 years old to spend 10 days in the backcountry with a 50-pound pack. But we went with her high school friend, Cliff, who likes to hike as well, and he's a gourmet cook. Made Dutch babies out in the field, and quiche at 11,000 feet. And Teresa made pepperoni pizza on the trail, and Dusseldorf pork chops, and they're both gourmet cooks. Anyway, he carried in his pack a big old pickle jar filled with ghee. He had to have ghee in order to make his recipes. And so the rest of us had to carry additional weight to make up for his ghee so we could divide it up equally. Anyway, no more of that, I'll tell you. And I hope next year at 72 it'll be next year. Maybe I'll be able to do one more section hike, maybe a little more, before I just can't do it anymore. Okay, back to the letter. Back to the letter. You getting sick yet? This is really disgusting. Anyway, so I change subject now. I say I'm about to buy a folk guitar, and I have about $60 to spend. Can you suggest some hints I might follow in order to avoid being swindled? Things like good brands, new or used, particular shops to buy from, etc. He was also a folk guitarist, Steve was, and wrote a lot of songs. He wrote one called Booked Up Karen, which was really cool, where he's trying to ask this girl, Karen, out on a date. And it goes, give me a date, booked up Karen, spend a little time with little old me. I'd be pleased with a date, booked up Karen. It could be fun, you'll just wait and see. Anyway, and then he asks her out, and she says yes in the song. But I asked him, did she say yes in real life? He said, no. Nope. He had one other song, which I don't remember the words of the music to, and you're probably grateful for that. It was called the 10-Cent Flushing Blues, and it was about pay toilets. At the time, there were a lot of them, and you had to pay a dime in order to do your business. Anyway, he wanted to complain about that in the 10-Cent Flushing Blues. I always loved that title. Anyway, so I went to him to talk about guitars and things, and I'm running out of space, so I got to stop this and start another. Okay, I ran out of space on my phone to take video on the last shot. I get 6 minutes and 17 seconds. That's all the memory I've got if I take everything off it. It's a really cheap phone, and I would show you a picture of it, except I'm using it for video. Wait, there you go. There's the phone. Oh. Yeah, anyway, there's the phone. It's a Samsung. It doesn't have much space on it, and there's me trying to frame in. Okay, anyway, but yeah, so I'm going to try and make this quick. I mean, I'm talking about this stupid letter for 7 minutes now, and it's probably going to go another 7 the way things are going. Anyway, so you heard about Steve, you heard about a bunch of stuff about how I know him and how close we were and the things we did and the John Muir Trail and his songs. And so I did buy that $60 guitar that I was talking about for $60 in those days, a lot of money. It was one of the purchases with my first paycheck when I worked at McDonald's at my very first job when I decided to take a year off before going to college after high school. I got $100 and I used 60 for that and 40 to buy 2 albums that I wanted. One was Jethro Tull, and one was Melanie, of all things, Stone Ground Words, and the other one was Aqualung on Jethro Tull. Getting way off this letter. Anyway, so I asked advice on buying the guitar, and then I did buy it, and I used that for all of my songs. Everything you hear on the 600 different songs that I have recorded in my composer sketchbook since 1969, all of them... Wait a minute. Couldn't have been that. No, 69 was when I was doing the piano. 73 was when I bought the guitar. See the letter? I forgot. I thought I had it earlier than that. But apparently, no. So 73 is when I got the guitar, and everything I've done since 73 has been on that guitar until it finally had the neck get a crack, and I super glued it together because luthier said it was impossible to fix, and yeah, there we go. Anyway, 2 more minutes. I've only got 4 minutes left. God, we got to get going with this. Okay, so, yeah, it was his, he wrote 500 songs of his own, so that's why I was inspired to write 600 of mine. Okay, so, I say, I know that this note sounds like a Dear Abby column. You know, remember Dear Abby? You probably don't. She was an advice columnist in the newspaper, kept answering how to solve problems for people, personal problems. She says, but... sound like a Dear Abby column, but that's too bad. A little sarcasm there in case you missed it. What's new? I hadn't heard from him in a while either. I'm running out of ways to ask. By golly, you must have something worth mentioning by now, for heaven's sake. Please make sure to play the tape, okay, that I said I was going to include. Anyway, please make sure to play the tape. And then I say that I think I forgot to put an E after please in the last sentence. And sure enough, there it is, no E. And I said, so here's an extra E. You can glue it in place. Ha ha. Okay, 20-year-old humor, I don't know. I hope you decide to hike the trail. It sounds like a fun trip. Yes, and it was a fun trip. All the section hikes we've taken, Teresa and myself, like I said, and I hope to do that again. I'm coming in at 3.5 minutes now, so we're only in at about 10 minutes on this video of this one freaking letter. It's ridiculous. quick look around the room. There's Teresa's desk. Here's where we have the cat food and everything. Here's my dresser. There's the chest of drawers where we started, and our ratty old couch and coffee table, and use up all this time I've got. Now it seems like a luxury, I tell you. There's my desk. There's where I do all my work, and my keyboard is hiding under here so it won't get dust, and the cats like to go up there and look out the window to the yard. And here's my computer and my desk and one of my cats. Yes, and here's the other one. So I think you've got it all now. That's it for today's entry. You're going to get one of these ridiculous videos probably every weekday for a while, or fairly often, because I just want to get these letters and things like this out of my box, document them so the stories aren't lost, and the people I care about are remembered, and the events that were interesting still make people happy, or illuminate, or incite them to some kind of terrible violence. No, strike that. That's wrong. Anyway, that's it for today. Bye. See you later.